Now, picture this one, where a young man is sleeping in a mansion that is surrounded by 1,000 acres of perfectly manicured grass. How did he get there? I don't know, but tall trees line every inch of the edge of the estate, and aerially, there is only one road leading in and out of that place. So if someone's walking their dog by the gate's entrance outside of the property, the house would be almost invisible without binoculars, because it's exactly 1,000 acres from where you stand. Check it. In one of the bedrooms upstairs in the mansion, there's this young bull snoring. I'm talking about passed out like he had the wildest party last night. But he seems to be experiencing the most wonderful rest. I'm talking picture perfect scene for spending the whole day in bed. With his dog eagerly staring outside of the window, wagging his short but active tail, jumping from the chair onto the floor, from the floor onto the bed. He's circling around his master's feet. He looks up and notices the sunrise. At the same time, all the trees began shaking. The sounds of nature stopped. It just stopped. No birds chirping, no nothing. Every single tree around the estate was under some sort of distress. Curious the dog was, he runs back up to the window, and we can see from his point of view that there are dark figures emerging from outside of the woods. So what sounded like a violently windy tree uncertainty now sounded like a mob of angry protesters. Once dead, now alive again to finish their protests. Clearly rotten and festering in their own juices and grievances, they're walking fast, running towards that house at this point. The man is still sleeping. The dog is getting nervous though, but doesn't wake his owner. I don't know. 3/4 of the way to the estate, they're still running in full speed. In the back, there are even more zombies pouring outside of the trees. Like the pace they were going isn't fast enough to get to that house. I mean, they were ravenous. The man is still sleeping. The dog barks once. Woof! The man turns over and smiles as he flips over his pillow and gets comfortable facing the other side. And now apparent zombie horde is at the fence and triggering the main alarm. The man is still sleeping though. The zombies are inside of the mansion and heading straight upstairs. The dog looks at his owner, then looks at a pet sticker saying no more than 2 barks. Like, how does the dog know how to read? He runs up on top of the sheets over his master's head and jumps and barks. Woof! It takes young boy 7 seconds to fully wake up and greet his dog. Like he's stretching, like drooling. All at the same time, zombies is coming up to his room like less than half a second after saying, "Hey, good boy." The door bursts open with brain-eating zombies coming straight towards the young man and his dog. He quickly grabs the dog while leaning towards an emergency button on the side as the first zombie reaches out and seemingly almost scratches the dog. The young man wakes up in a completely different house, on his couch with his dog. Happy, tail wagging and wanting to do it again. He looks at his headset he frantically took off and tossed in the corner and mumbled a few curse words in his direction before saying, "I could have died in that effing simulation." Then he looks at his dog and said, "You gotta give me a second bark earlier than that, Barney. No one's ever been that close while fully asleep before. You wanna get stuck in a computer simulation, silly?" The young man rubs Barney's head and says, "I mean, unless you want to see if we can survive being disconnected to a tour group on a spacewalk. Let's see how long it takes us to press the red button this time." "Woof," replied the overly anxious dog, with fresh scars on his behind